Hi everyone, this is Perfume Coast, so welcome to my channel. Today's podcast is all about new release of 2025 by the brand Kayali, which is called Fleur Majesty Rose Royale. So without further ado, let's jump into the ocean of perfumes. So also, as always, let's have a quick look at the notes that Fragrantica is listing. So on the top we've got pear, peach, mandarin, orange. In the middle there's rose, peony, violet and magnolia. And finally in the base there's musk, vanilla, praline, ambrox super and vetiver. So this one is a beautiful, distinctly rose-forward perfume, which appears to be the only perfume in Kayali range, as far as I know at least, which is dedicated to a non-white floral motif in the botanic lineup, so to speak. In other words, I can't think of any other perfume of this brand dedicated to a classic herb or floral such as peony, daisy, lily of the valley. But very often, Kayali does seem to use these notes as supporting roles. But here one of these notes, rose, is front and center in fact. This rose is certainly color pink, it gives off full bloom effect, but uniqueness of this one is all about how nicely and organically this rose combines jammy sweetness and absence of heaviness, implying utter airiness, meaning that there are no heavy grounding notes in here typical for ambition to amplify rose's sweetness such as oud, myrrh or amber. And that's exactly why this rose is beautifully sweet, but at the same time creating dewy, airy and younger impression. For this very reason, this perfume is such an all-season wear, where sweet faucets are catering to a cooler and transitional seasons, and fluffiness points at some summery direction, especially if we're talking evening occasion. Another beautiful association that this release is giving off is strangely a gourmand territory. And it goes a lot further than a hint. This impression is in fact quite strong. The gourmandy image that comes to mind would be this sort of rose jam that's gooey and sweet. It can also be this creamy rose-infused topping over your favorite dessert such as cake or ice cream. Yet another feature of this fragrance is its classic traditional style, despite all the paradox features mentioned previously. But that's exactly what makes this perfume quite grown up, again without utilizing heavy grounding notes. Overall, beautiful release, so classy and yet at the same time so inventive and modern in a way how various, at times opposing features are connected. Airiness, sweetness, universality of wear as far as demographics and seasonality are concerned. Needless to say that it's also very unisex and long-lasting, which, yet again, shifts boundaries of rose-forward perfumes. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of rose-dedicated fragrances, but this one I'd happily consider buying. The only concern of mine would be abandoning my own rules, so to speak. Hence, it's still a big consideration, even though it's such a beautiful rose, which, on the other hand, is an absolute must to test out for rose perfume fans. As mentioned previously, Kayali range does contain a lot of rose or peony containing fragrances though, and one of them is called Eden Sparkling Lychee. And very quickly, let's get reminded of the notes that this one is having. So according to Fragrantica, what we've got here on the top is lychee, black currant, red apple, Italian lemon. In the middle we've got violet, rose and jasmine sambac, and finally in the base there's sugar, vanilla absolute, musk, amber, sandalwood and cedar. So if fruit in the previous perfume is a supporting act and rose is the main act, here it's the other way around. Here it's, rose that's on the background and fruit is a focal point. And it's all about lychee in here. I love this fragrance. This lychee is sparkling. Sweetness and juiciness are on steroids here. So it's fruity aspects as well. At one point, it approaches fruity nail polish direction, so to speak. But it never actually crosses one. And all you're left with, effectively, is an image of some lychee/strawberry-like fruity cocktail that's sugary sweet and effervescent. This one also gives distinct association with pink color somehow, and maybe that's the reason why Kayali decided to add rose to this fragrance as a supporting act. But jokes aside, rose is indeed on the background here, but its role is pivotal though, because it's a rose, pink rose, that balances and tones down this utter sweetness of this fruity cocktail. Its effect similar to the one made by freesia, for example, which role is oftentimes a supporting one, but crucial in terms of refreshing and hydrating quality, utterly breaking down this density of some heavy accords. And I guess juicy quality is amplified here by this fresh, dewy, young rose. Beautiful perfume that I enjoy having in my collection as well. Another perfume where rose is just a backseat participant is Lovefest Burning Cherry by the same brand, obviously. And very quickly, let's have a look at which notes we're having here according to Fragrantica. So on the top, we've got Burning Cherry, Raspberry, Bergamot. In the middle, there's Praline, Heliotrope, Damask Rose, Jasmine Sambac. And finally, the base says Palo Santo, Tonka Bean, Guaiac Wood, Peru Balsam, Ambretolide, Patchouli, and Haitian Vetiver. Here, yet again, rose is a supporting role, as said before, but this time the center stage is taken by cherry. And cherry in here is once again quite sweet, but it has tones of tart faucets to it as well. It almost has this tanginess to it, achieving effects similar to a cherry pit. Some may call it almond smelling, but effectively it's a cherry pit that's, if crashed down, similar to other fruit pits, gives off this almondy, slightly bitterish effect. And that's exactly what's happening here. But back to the rose though, this time its role in my view is not so much to calm down sweetness as with previous perfume, but rather to cut down rough edges of a very distinct cherry that's otherwise this perfume would have had. Should rose be absent here, this scent would have gone far beyond perfumey territory, perhaps being this extremely gourmand cherry jam or cherry juice. But it's rose that takes this perfume out of this spilt over cherry juice territory. But that's it, guys. This wraps up the video. If you've liked this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.